All right.
Hey,
We're
bud.
back here with Alan Day and Dan O'Connor from 4 Years Strong. How are you, gentlemen?
Hey, Will.
Hey, Will. How you doing? We're good.
Missed those bassy voices through SM7s. There they are. Yeah. If you don't know me, we've been working together for quite a while now. Produced a record this year called Brain Pain. One of my favorite records I've ever done. You're two wonderful and amazingly talented people. And
Very sweet of you.
Thanks, Will. Same to you, bud.
I appreciate you guys both coming on. So let's talk a little bit about music. Tell me,
I love to talk about music.
I know you're both very well versed, and talk to me a little bit about Brain Pain. Now that it's out, like, how's the response been? Like, how are you guys feeling about everything?
It's been awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely, you said it was one of your favorite albums you've made. It's 100%, I think, our favorite album we've made. And the response for the 8 shows we did get to play where we played new songs were amazing.
Yep.
It was just so much fun. And it's definitely a bummer that we're not able to be supporting the album, but we're happy that it got to come out for people to enjoy while being stuck in their homes indefinitely.
Yeah, I think it was there's pros and cons to what just happened with the whole music industry shutting down. I think people had a lot more time to consume music. And I think a record like yours, which is like, it goes so deep and it has so many different little nuances and details and, different variety of songs. I think it was like a nice break for everyone to jam the record. I mean, I know I produce music all the time, but I don't really listen to a ton of music because I don't have a ton of downtime. And I've listened to more bands in the past month or two than I can't.
Oh, yeah.
Same here.
Remember. Yeah. So what's like, have you guys been planning on doing any other events now that everyone's kind of off with touring this year? Like, what's up on the schedule for you guys now?
I mean, it's a lot of it's up in the air. I mean, we're trying to figure out some like interesting ways of, keeping in contact with our fans and doing some things. And we've got a couple different things that are kind of in the works, trying to find interesting ways of doing our like holiday show this year, maybe things like that.
Because we don't even know if by December we'll be playing any live performance kind of stuff.
So
it's definitely hard. We're really bad at like social media and stuff on our end anyway. So to rely entirely on us being good at that to stay afloat right now is a little frightening, but
well, you're good people persons. So I think
people persons.
Yeah, take the time, chat with your fans. I think everyone always has great things to say about you after they meet you. So I think you guys connecting with fans in some downtime is an awesome idea. But so I do want to talk about some serious stuff. I could talk music with you guys all day, like we always do. But a lot of this event is about communication and about how we need to change the way we communicate with each other, how we need to make some corrections with ourselves. And I know this speaks personally to you guys because, without going, I'll let you take the floor on this, but I know there had been a time in 4 Years Strong's career where you guys had hit a bit of a rough patch, personally, and communication started to break down. So, I mean, how did you get back to a place where you could be civil and resolve issues? And like, what advice can you have for people right now who feel like they can't even communicate with people with different of opinions,
Well, I was going to say, don't let it be a passive aggressive silence for like 2 straight years like we did, because that didn't help anything. It just made things worse. I think I learned a lot from that period, not only about our dynamic as a band and as songwriting partners, but also just as a person, how important dialogue can be between people, even if you disagree on things. Like, I mean, in our case, it wasn't really a matter of disagreeing, like a wide difference in our personalities and how we need to meet on the same page somehow. I mean, we're basically the same person, but it just opened up the idea, because I think as a band, and I know I can speak for myself, I'm a serial passive aggressive like person, and I've tried, especially since then, which was what
11.
2012
Yeah.
when we kind of like started to repair our relationship. Like, try really hard to just like be open and talk about things when something's wrong, when something's bothering me, when something just even throws you off a little bit. Just being just more open and aware of everything.
Yeah, I think when our relationship really started to break down, it wasn't this one big thing that all of a sudden we were just like, we're not going to talk to each other anymore from now on. It was just a lot of these little things over time that
like the way Dan eats a banana,
like the way that we wouldn't talk about just little problems, and those little problems would grow and grow and grow. And I think that really speaks to a lot of kind of what's going on, in the sense of one of the best ways to move forward is to open up that line of communication, because when we didn't talk to each other for over a year pretty much
while we were on tour,
and afterwards, even when we weren't on tour, we didn't talk to each other for a long time. And the thing that didn't happen during that entire time of not talking to each other is nothing got better. It wasn't just us being away from each other that made everything get better. It was the day that all of a sudden we started talking about the things that were bothering us, and we actually had civil conversations between each other and actually listened to each other at the same time, which I feel like that's a big step that I think a lot of people are making right now, or a lot of people who maybe weren't either aware or were just, willfully blind or not to kind of the things that are going on in culture, in the world around us, weren't acknowledging the fact or listening to people when they were saying what was going on. And I think one of the beautiful things that's happening right now is it feels like a lot more people are listening when people are talking and actually hearing what they're saying. There's obviously people who are still, denying that these things are, that, there is a lot of these injustices happening, or for whatever reason, they take it like they're being personally attacked or whatever. But I'm seeing a lot of people that I've even known for a long time or haven't known, but that are taking the step to publicly say that they acknowledge that these things are happening, and they're recognizing that these things are happening. So seeing that and hearing that is I think a really positive step, because that's, in a very small way, that's how we repaired our relationship, as we started listening to each other and we started acknowledging the things that we might have been doing unknowingly to the other person, and going out of our way to fix that.
Yeah, that, and I feel like being very, like, specifically with, all the stuff that's going right now about the systemic racism and all that. I think being very, very open and posting about like just being really transparent and open about the way you feel is important, because it opens up a dialogue. And obviously that comes with an inevitable amount of negativity and people that are seeing things in such a negative outside way. But the beauty of that is you could potentially change someone's mind. And honestly, there's been things that have changed my mind with seeing things. And not that I know I'm very aware that white privilege is a real thing. And me and Dan were talking about it before we got on live here, that we've been, I don't know if is there a better example of white privilege than two guys that fucked off in high school for, didn't care about school, were getting in trouble, were skipping class, and like Dan so beautifully put, turned our shitty hobby into a career, and I think not always being aware that that's a privilege and is something that has come to light more now, that there was a lot of privilege in that. Not that it was only privilege. That doesn't mean that we didn't work hard, or that we didn't come into, our hardships along the way, but that privilege is definitely a part of it.
Sure, of course. I mean, everyone I've spoken to is sort of having those conversations now too, and coming to terms with the fact that like, oh wow, I don't know if I have the right perspective on any of this because I didn't come from this background. I haven't been a part of a system that it was designed to keep me down. And I think the conversations that everyone are having now and just reading and communicating and learning from other people who are in more dire situations is definitely it's been a positive thing. I mean, it's literally all the bands I've talked to. It's all my friends, and it's the first time I felt like, wow, everyone is actually listening to what other people have to say.
Yeah, and like I said, like being able to change your mind and not being so stubborn to only see things the way you've always seen them is, I think, one of the most important things for people to take away from what's going on right now. Because I mean, I don't know if I should necessarily be open about this, but I think it's important to be. This is what we're talking about, is transparency. I think it was like a handful of years ago when people first started talking about like Christopher Columbus monuments and how they wanted to take them down. And my gut reaction at the time was what everyone else is saying, that is like not the right way to see it, which is you can't, it's terrible the way things happen, but you can't erase history, right? That was the way things happened. But now I'm seeing it as like, okay, yes, it happened, but why are we honoring the fact that it happened the way it did? Right?
Sure. And I feel like if you were in a different scenario or different upbringing, or if you came from a Black family that had taught you more about the history of America or more about
I might have seen it right away.
You immediately would have been like, yeah, knock that thing down. Like, why would anyone disagree with that at that point? And I think it's this realization moment that a lot of people are having now. Yes, we probably should have done our homework, years ago.
Yeah, on our own without having something so terrible.
For me, it's not about the mistakes you made in the past. It's about just being honest with yourself and comfortable now to know, okay, I'm paying attention now. Like I understand now. I'm listening to people now, and I appreciate that you guys can admit that publicly and say that, because I think it takes a lot to be authentic right now is important. And I think, people who look up to your band and you guys and respect you for the people you are, like, will appreciate that you can be honest and open like that, so.
Well, I just think it's really important to see that people can change their minds. People can be wrong. Like it's okay to be wrong if you're ready to right your wrongs, right?
Sure.
Sorry, that was a lot of right and wrong in a row.
All right. I'll stumble all day. Don't worry about
it. I think that's the important thing, is to, when someone is wrong, is to not completely shut them out if they're willing to listen. You know what I'm saying? Like I especially on social media, it's such a gut reaction to when you see someone post something that is, in your eyes, so blatantly in the wrong direction and on the wrong side of history or that moment, to just be like, can a mod just kick them out of here or something like that? But at the same time, if you kick them out of that room or kick them out of the chat or whatever it is, you lost the opportunity to educate them on why their position is not the right one to have. And
sure.
I think that's also a really important side to look at. There are people who are going to have a gut reaction that they're being personally attacked because of they're white and they think that everybody's against white people right now or whatever. But
which is a crazy argument.
But
yeah,
I think the important thing is to educate them on what is actually going on, because there's such an issue with social media and you're stuck in this echo chamber that they just might not have had the opportunity to have the information presented to them in a way that they can understand it.
Sure. And honestly, I think from a few people I've spoken with, some of these hard conversations that you have to have, but they are people that listen, is family too. Yeah. Because I know a few people who are like, well, my dad or my racist uncle like is wrong, but I have to try to show him why he's wrong now, and he'll listen to you because he loves you because you're his, nephew or whatever. Not my uncle. I'm just saying in
Right.
general. Yeah, my uncle's cool. But
and also in the other direction, I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my wife and I have taken this as an opportunity to teach them about that racism is a thing that exists in the world, and the different things that have happened in history that have happened to African Americans or people of color along the way, and for them to just know that, just because on Disney Junior there isn't a show about it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist in the world. And obviously we're not trying to scare them into having some sort of belief, but exposing them to what's going on in the world so that they don't grow up with a warped idea of what race is, or what or what classism is, or any of those things. Like, trying to expose them to that at a young age so that they grow up with the right perspective in the world.
Yeah, I mean, the next generation of children from people that exist today, I think, are going to have a different, a very, very drastically different view of America, of our history. And I mean, if there's any positive takeaway from the events that are happening right now, is that people aren't going to try to erase these ideas anymore.
Right.
And I think, a lot of people I know who have kids are having to have strange, uncomfortable conversations with their children to try to explain to them, this is what Black Lives Matter mean. And I know the protests look scary, but they're actually positive. And, you have to explain why people are mad. And it's like, it's very hard. And it's like sad and heartbreaking that children have to now process it. But it takes a lot of courage. And I appreciate that you are doing that with your kids, because I don't have kids. And if I did, I couldn't imagine how to approach that and not just feel terrible,
I feel like it's an important conversation to have. I mean, I think, everybody always refers to the talk as with your kids of talking about sex, but I think this is a talk that needs to be had even earlier, to just teach them that the right way to view the world, that everybody should be equal, and that, but also the fact that there are, as of right now, these systemic problems that are greatly affecting certain sides of our society, and having them grow up with the idea that they need to make sure that those change and they don't exist anymore.
That and one of the videos I've seen, obviously, because there's a lot like circulating in social media right now that kind of hit me, that like, I mean, this is privilege of being white kind of really like shouted loudly in a way, is like a video I saw of people explaining to their kids, Black people speaking to their kids, describing situations they're going to have to be careful in, like how they're going over, if a policeman stops you, here's how you should handle it. You're probably going to get pulled over. You're not going to know why. Like, and these are real things, these are real conversations that Black people and other people of color have to discuss with their kids. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy that the conversation is now just coming up in parents and their children about a similar thing now, that the conversation should start between like white parents and their kids about the realities of racism. It shouldn't only be Black people that have to talk about that reality.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I appreciate your insight on this and on communication today. Quick speed round, because I always love asking these. Desert Island Guitar, go.
Telly.
My Fender Strat.
Okay. Favorite guitar pedal?
The Zool.
There you go. Okay.
The Ford and Zool.
Yeah, I'd say maybe the Julia or the Zool are my go-to.
Okay. I just got a Julia. It's nice. One band in the world you could tour with, Dream Tour.
Does it have to be real? Like something I can absolutely accomplish?
Doesn't have to be real.
Alive or Dead?
What was that?
Alive or Dead?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know, maybe Nirvana,
Okay.
the Beatles.
All right. I'll go Nirvana. That was cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you guys. Alan and Dan from 4 Year Strong. I appreciate you coming on here and talk. I know politics isn't your thing, but you're honest and genuine people. And I think your perspectives from, this world is really important right now also. We're giving away a 4 Year Strong test press, a $10 entry to the soundrink.live through the soundrink.live site. It's a charitable donation, and you're entered to win a 4 Year Strong test presser along with about 100 other prizes. So it's a great record. Very proud of it. Proud of both of you. I love you guys. I hope to see you back playing a show soon. And thank you for coming on.
Love you too, Will. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Bye.
Bye.
Dan and Alan from 4 Year Strong. Okay, I need a little bathroom break, and we will be back shortly with Anthony Martini. Just give me 2 minutes, and I'll see you in a minute.